So the man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is one of the finest politicians of his time. Some persons have suggested that his political school of thought and strategy deserves to be studied as a course in tertiary institutions across the world. Regarded by many as the man who has never lost a political battle, the Jagaban of Africa, as he is fondly called, inspires the extreme of emotions in Nigerians. TVC News' Ola Awakon put together this report on Asiwaju's days of humble beginnings.
The man who many described as the most astute living politician in Nigeria was born on the 29th of March, 1952. In the United States of America, he studied accounting and graduated in 1979. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu worked in some American companies like Arthur Andersen, Deloitte, and GTE Services Corporation. In 1983, he returned to Nigeria and got a job with Mobil, a multinational oil company, where he rose to an executive of the company. Asiwaju's political career was birthed in 1992 when he joined the Social Democratic Party during the transition program organized by the regime of military president General Ibrahim Babangida. He was subsequently elected to the Senate representing Lagos West Senatorial District. Following the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, Asiwaju pitched tent with the National Democratic Coalition, a pressure group mobilizing citizens with demand for the restoration of MKO Abiola's mandate. Government hunting for Nadeco's key figures forced Bola Tinubu into exile in 1994. 1998, military dictator General Sani Abacha had died. The new administration of General Abdul Salam Abubakar commenced a fresh transition program. Asiwaju and some other exiled democracy activists returned to the country. Bola Tinubu joined the newly formed Alliance for Democracy and contested the governorship of Lagos State.
Today is a special day.
With his victory, he was sworn in as the governor of Lagos State on the 29th of May 1999. By the next election in 2003, Lagos was the only state out of the 6 in the southwest geopolitical zone that the People's Democratic Party, which controlled the federal government at the time, could not take over from the Alliance for Democracy. Under the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, Lagos State grew to become a self-sufficient megacity state. By 2013, Bola Tinubu led other Democrats to form the All Progressives Congress with massive followership from all corners of the country. The party went to poll in 2015 and for the first time in Nigeria's history defeated an incumbent president. The party also won the highest number of seats in the National Assembly and 20 out of the 29 governorship elections held that year. Due to his immense contributions in seeing the APC become a giant in a very short time, he was recognized as the leader of the party.
APC!
And now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be flying the flag of the party in next year's presidential election and perhaps will become the second member of the APC to be sworn in as the president of Nigeria. Ola Awakon, TVC News, Abuja.
And so joining us to speak about Asiwaju Tinubu's personality is a former colleague of the APC leader who is now the presidential candidate of the APC, a former colleague at ExxonMobil, Akin Fatuke. Thank you very much and welcome to TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much, Kemi. I like this slant about saying we were colleagues. He was my boss.
Interesting, and thanks for the clarification. But
Thank you.
That aspect of Asiwaju's life, not much is known about him. In fact, we've seen that come up as a form of derision about his personality. The fact that he worked in the basic world out there before he delved into politics. Tell us about the significant traits of Asiwaju Tinubu then when you worked with him.
Pure, simple. I, for one, am not surprised, albeit, yes, depending on how you look at surprise, I am not at the bottom end of surprise. I have always known that Bola Tinubu has been exactly what he is: enigmatic, a hard worker, a strategic thinker from the perspective of the fact that as far back as 4th of January 1988, when I got hired, great thanks to him, amongst a group of Turks, he had the vision that he was going to revolutionize the audit of ExxonMobil downstream at that time. And the whole world was wondering, where is he coming from? What is he saying? I'm talking about situations where Sam, you recall that you might have come from the Ivy League universities, but there are certain people that are dying in the wood. They have been there for 15, 20, 30 years. They are professors. They are encyclopedias on two legs. They know from the unknown and they can tell you A, B, C, D. So why is Bola now coming to disrupt, as it were, as at that time? This was at the time of, the PMS, the whole of the industry. Both oil and gas and outside were really not thinking in that direction. And he said, this is what I wanted to do. He single-handedly worked something that is like form of anathema at that time. Black man walked up to the then chairman and managing director of the company in America, and I said, I want to revolutionize this place. And I said, look, what is in it for you? Because I want to take Mobil Oil Nigeria PLC to the higher level. And so he hired us. We got in different talents. Some were writers, some were analysts, some were people who have, the basic knowledge about computers. In 6 months, ExxonMobil downstream was transformed. Now, I say this to you, Kemi. Even when we were coming in, we were just wondering, will my BSc and ACA do? He had a way of bragging at us. You guys are Nigerian accountants. Yeah, we are Nigerian accountants. We are members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He said, well, what have you got to offer? I mean, you cannot talk about accountants. We sit around him and we say, yes, we could make the difference. And yes, we'll be making the difference through that our institute. And by the way, Kunle Ali, Olumide Ajomale, I talk of, well, yours sincerely, Kola Faju Igwe, Tunde Ojo, Akinyelure. Akinyelure was our big boss. He was the finance director now. Yes. So another thing I have to say here is that Bola Tinubu does not forget his friends. Bola Tinubu does not forget his benefactors. No matter where you are or you may be, he recognizes you by name. I have not personally seen Bola Tinubu. I hope you'll be listening to this. I haven't seen him for eon of years. But he sees you and he will call you by name. And I am not alone. That compassion has always been there. There is the other aspect of Bola Tinubu that I have to bring to fore here now. And that's the fact that for some of us, it was a routine that Bola Tinubu would pick us around stadium, the National Stadium, driving early enough to come to work. Then some of us could not afford cars. He would take it upon himself, drive us to the office, and his favorite was coffee. Ooh, he was a coffee man. On this other soft side,
that was very American.
Very American. And the other soft side I need to say, and please let me say this very silently, because the wife should be able to recognize that. I'm talking about, our Senator Remi Tinubu, very interesting. Very interesting from the perspective of the fact that a painstaking woman and a woman of prayer. None of us believed at that time that Bola Tinubu was going to marry a Christian. And against all said, this is exactly the person I'm going to marry. And so we all found way to the Kushebiala compound in Ibadan, and then the rest was history.
Indeed.
Finally,
here we are.
On the career side, what will make a man of the mold of Bola Tinubu, all through his time as audit manager at that time, because I joined that audit, to have somebody who was just the only Igbo man, the only man from the Mbu stock, to be his man Friday and his second in command. He did not change him throughout. Mr. Batmore is still alive. And we all kept wondering, what is it that makes a man like this tick? He believes in you. He will defend you to the heavens. He had a shoulder, and he believed that when it comes to hunting for talent, I just told you he hunted for the talents of the names I've just raised. And elders went to him and said, some people will say, Bola Tinubu, my son, do you want to send us out of the park? Say, no, if you have experience. These guys are coming. They are like the black keys of that piano, of which you are white. We are going to get an orchestra. The rest, as they say, is history.
Interesting.
Before he left Mobile, he was auditor.
Yes, it came, yes.
He was auditor.
Yes.
But it was not a position that was for him. But he, as you said, did something to the company's finances that transformed everything. And then they wanted somebody to become auditor. And then they said, well, we don't have any other person to do this job. See, you have to move from that position you are in. You have to become the company's auditor. Tell us about that.
You are now talking in the realm of competence.
Yes.
And let's face it, one of the things I found with my boss, Bola Tinubu, is he could sit across you, just listen to you, and you say, I am Kemi, and I am Sam. Get Bola Tinubu to regurgitate that has been said to him. You will be in awe and a shock. He will say it and bring in the Wole Soyinkas and the Chinua Achebes that you may just continue to stand agape. So let me put it succinctly. Yes, Bola Tinubu, again, we had the upstream, we had the downstream, came to the upstream and then back to the downstream. And somebody said that this guy looks like a whiz kid of sort. We are going to try you out to take an European view of the business. And so you are right, Sam. And that is how area of audit came. Like I said, I came in as audit. Some of the assignments we did, and based on some of the other things we had before he got into mobile, were stellar jobs. They were jobs that changed the direction of the company for good. We took on the high and mighty. Then as audit manager, we were relentless in, for instance, saying things were not going right. Be you a director, be you a shareholder of some sort. And then people started noticing this guy. Hey, wait a minute. We are going to go into our other level. We are going to build that octopus you find in the mobile house, like one of the best that has won awards all over, and said, we need a creative financier, somebody who understands accounting, who understands finance, and who should be a treasurer. Lo and behold, Bola Tinubu was seconded to be the treasurer. There was when his star began to show. One, that Mobile Nigeria, as far back as that time, could build that edifice that was the talking town. Late Bola Ige said, I need to see the wonder that could have been done, and I hear that Nigerians are behind that. Creatively, without necessarily having to borrow. takes a dive to what we have here in Nigeria, he was amongst the team that put that place together, listed assets, which is one of the things that we are asking Nigeria to do, sold some assets that were, in excess of requirements in Ikoyi area, and put up that high rise. Of course, Chevron and others came to kind of copy. He was a vivid thinker who did not only his best for that American conglomerate and company that took us to the heights of awards in the stock exchange and got awards all over Africa and the whole world. Bola Tinubu, from that angle, is perhaps a man to beat. Now, in terms of hard work.
Yeah, before you go there, so what I was saying was that he left as treasurer. He did the audit. He revolutionized the audit of Mobil. And then they were looking for, who do we now make treasurer to look over the whole thing?
Sam, you use the word revolutionize. Yeah. I would say yes on the pejorative aspect of that word. But one of the audits that we did was the audit of Treasury. I found at that time that things were falling apart.
Yes.
He got in there, made his pronouncements. Of course, with wee talks behind him, something similar to the ability to be able to spot talents. So he spotted those talents, said, boys, I'm behind you. You go ahead. Let's see what is going to happen in there. And what was the incentive? Gave us the backing. Back at that time, very few departments has computers. And he said, I'm going to fight to make sure that I get a computer. I'm going to fight to make sure you get a photocopier. He made life so easy for us. So after our early coffees, we got to work, and we worked so hard. So when that was discovered that, Bola Tinubu, you found the faults in here. Go in there, go and resolve.
And rectify it.
I cannot forget for the life of me his foray into politics. And I, as a treasurer, had gone to Abuja, and I was as Transcorp children. And then Bola just came and said, Akim, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm doing my little work. I hope things are going on fine with you. At that time, he was the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance. And so there was an argument. I said, Akim, when you finish, please see me in my room. Lo and behold, I just wanted to go and say hello to my boss and how are you doing? I will also say one or two things about a few of the downsides to Bola Tinubu that should be known. And then there I saw three gentlemen, the former vice chancellor of then University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University.
One day Abimbola.
And then Polycarp Nwite.
Yes.
So apparently they were in some form of discussion. And as I entered, rather than Bola Tinubu, allow me to calm down, cool down. I just wanted to say hello to you. Say, hello, Aki, come. Now, can you tell me, Aki, how we write our reports when we get audit findings in Mobil? Then
is this what you call it?
No. I was initially confused. What has Mobil got to do? I know about confidentiality. He said, what I say is that if you found that Abacha is at fault, and we as auditors are found at fault, do we shake? Do we speak a language that is... And then my brain recalibrated. Very easy. You could have gone through the audit of Mobil at that time for you not to know. And so if, for instance, Sam decides to be a transgender, I say, Sam, I know you to be a man. Effective immediately, revert to how you should be. I said, that is my man. And then Professor Abimbola then said, but in Institute we can't use that kind of language. He said, well, if that is what you people used at that time when you were in Mobil, so be it. And so they now wrote their report at that time. I said, effective immediately, A, B, C, D should be done. And that was
it.
Now, let's talk about some other maybe salient points about
I'm sure that will be equally interesting. But I really must ask now, you've spoken a bit now and you've opened up the largely obscure world, especially for many of the observers out there. The question I want to ask now is, when you look at the smear campaigns about the personality of Asiwaju Tinubu, when you look at what people say about him, some are even questioning his academic credentials and all that, how do you respond to them, looking at the exploits that he did in the commercial, in the business world before his foray to politics?
Kemi, I say this to you, one of the things that we learned in Mugu is the hard skills and the soft skills. There are certain skills that you have that take you to the door, your degree, your capacity to be able to do. And then, of course, the soft skills will now be how to navigate your way around.
Your emotional intelligence.
Smear campaigns, emotional intelligence. Sam got that on the heat. You decide that your focus must be go win the prize. It is not totally out of place that even when we were immobile, people could come up with different spurious allegations. I am not going to go into the nitty-gritty of what allegations is what and what have you. But the American system is such that what is your deliverables? Can you deliver? And are you delivering to time, to budget, and with a lot of integrity? The Americans saw the integrity behind a man who decided to come and disrupt the system and brought in young people that easily could have been people that could have upstaged him. And he said, no, I want to live amongst the talent. I want to live and do my career within people who are of diverse background. You may be Igbo, you may be Hausa, you may be Lupe, you may be any of the ethnic coloration that we have in Nigeria. What have you got to bring to the table? And then, are you capable beyond the academics and do the extracurricular? How have you been able to develop the corporate image of the organization, the brand image? And they looked at that, and some people now ask the question, we thought you were an accountant. Where did you pick all these skills from? The average ExxonMobil person, both male and female, in and who have operated in and outside Nigeria, Ghana that we are all talking about today, Ethiopia that we are all talking about today, Zimbabwe in the day of Bob and all that, respected that aspect amongst Nigerians. And there were people of Nigeria, some of his colleagues, in fact, one of them that eventually became the first Nigeria managing director, went and did great things outside the country. So at the end of the day, if you had a faulty vehicle out there and somebody came and rather than turn it back into a vehicle, turn it into a helicopter, what will be how will you now want to regard that person? That is one. And for us in the oil and gas industry, safety is number one. As at the time Bola Tinubu was now going into his Fedeco, Nadeco, and what have you, right. I am happy and I need to announce here, not many people, not many Nigerians, and I hope Bola Tinubu and Remi Tinubu will take a seat back and consider what I want to say now. Bola Tinubu won the APC ticket on a day that is called June 8th, 2022. Exactly 24 years on this same day, 8,767 days ago, his nemesis in the person of Sani Abacha passed away. Is that not a significance that somebody should now look at? How comes it that is happening? Remi Tinubu will have been on the other side because the goons came and they bombed his house to smithereens. Luckily, part of our training, some of the soft skills training, is that intelligence gathering and intelligence information comes to bear to making sure what you are seeing, what you are not seeing, what you are reading. We put all that together, which is one of the great traits that Bola Tinubu, I must say, has. So when it comes to issue of security and all that, you'll be shocked that an accountant in his board will be able to think out of the box. Let me say this, he detests slothfulness. Hardworking expects you to work at that same level. And I've just told you, he believes in talent, he believes in loyalty, and he has an attitude, and that attitude is, I can do it despite all the challenges. I'm still talking about
you're going. There's one question I want to ask.
We have run out of time.
Because we're running out of time. There's so much to say, but
absolutely,
you seem to have so much to say. The thing is, one of those people who actually worked for at Ashuraju when Ekiti election was going on, one of the foot soldiers, told me in those days, during all those battles, he walked up to me and he said, what I learned from Ashuraju these past few weeks, even in Harvard School of Government,
he wasn't taught.
Nobody will teach you the way he. Did you see any of that kind of intuition, that instinct for what the right step to do, what the right step to take?
We can only allow about 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Apologies.
First second, I saw it. Second second, it was all there.
Right.
Third second, it was even there, but part of the legacies that he left behind. Many of the people who are now, they were young then, and they are now captains of industry elsewhere. Picked that from Bola Tinubu, and I say, I wish Bola Tinubu very well. And we've gotten a dogged fighter. We've gotten a man who has decided, and we decide that we're going to take you to the next level.
All right. Thank you so much, Akinfatunke, for your valuable and fascinating this conversation that we had with you. It's really valuable and fascinating indeed, and we wish you well in your own endeavors. Thank you
very much.
once
Thank
again.
You very much, Kevin. Thank you, sir.